This other time I was over at my dad's house, and I think this is about as it just horrible as it gets. My friend came over. We'll call him M. He's a dude. So he comes over and he's like, "Hey man, I've got some crank," and I'm like, "All right, well, chalk up rails." And so he made us two small rails. I don't think we had that much, and I remember consuming it, and then walking out onto my dad's porch, and I just I have this. Well, later on, a psychologist calls it a tactile hallucination. Yeah, that's what it was. I walk out on the porch and I hear this maniacal laughter, and it's not something that I've heard before. The closest thing that I could really tell you is there's this really weird laughter on one of these Metallic before one of these Metallic, or no, it was after Metallica song. There's a really weird maniacal laughter, but I perceived it as a bunch of demons laughing, and one came up behind me. I didn't see anything, but I felt like something came up behind me and whispered, "How do the fiery darts feel?" And I remember just hitting my knees because I felt like I got hit in the back with a bunch of fiery darts, and it scared the shit out of me. So bad that, like, probably not even 20 minutes later, I had gotten a ride and I went to a church that was unlocked. It was like I think it was like a Catholic church. I went into this church and I was hiding under a pew inside the church. I wasn't Catholic or anything. I really wasn't anything, honestly. I mean, I'd been Bible thumped as a kid, but I was hiding under a pew. It was actually getting really kind of bad. I mean, I was starting to get these like weird hallucinations when I was using all these street drugs. Um, so anyway, I'm hiding under a pew and I'm freaking scared. I am scared, and about the only place this that I had any peace was hiding under a pew inside of this church. And I don't know, like a priest comes up. I guess that's what they might call him there. I don't know if it's a father or a priest or something. He comes up and he kind of very nicely like leans over, says, "Do you need anything?" And I'm like, I don't know. I think is what I said. I'm gonna have to paraphrase because I'm not exactly sure. I know that I was hiding there. And he said, "Well, would you like a book, or how about a cross?" And at this point, I was willing to try anything. I still wasn't very far along in my story to find any kind of 12-step program or anything like that, but I remember him giving me this cross. It was really neat too. It was a wooden cross, and it was kind of like a rosary, but it was made out of wood. And I carried that everywhere with me on my adventures. I really didn't know there was any other way to live. I guess now I'll stop and say, if you're not with God, who are you with? I didn't know that there was a different way to live. And I had ran from the demons of my childhood for so long, I just wanted to escape. And when I did use drugs, I did feel good for a while. but in the end, you're just chasing that original high. It never feels good like that again. And everything just came crashing down around me until it was way worse than when it started. Till I was more lonely than I was before. Till I was destroyed. Till I had taken anything that I'd kind of earned and turned it into nothing. And when I got sober, I mean, I had a backpack full of clothes, like a couple things left. Everything was gone. I had smoked up and burned up and destroyed everything in my life, including all the friends and family that I had. And I just hated me more than I did when I started. I remember years later sitting inside of a treatment and with a friend I'd met. His name was Al. And we're sitting there inside of a circle. It's group time. And I look over. I walk in, I sit down, and I look over at the dry erase board, and my friend says, like, we're putting our secrets up on the board. And the counselor says, we're putting up secrets on the board, so we need you to go up there and write a secret. And I went up to this board and I started reading. And I realized that these people were putting up real secrets on this board. And I said it out loud. I mean, while I was thinking out loud, I was like, oh, real secrets. I think the drugs and alcohol, it altered me so much. You just have to have all these layers of lies and trickery just to stay loaded every single day, and the disease doesn't want you to talk about it, if that's exactly what it is. I think the jury's still out on that one for me. But every man had poured out his truth on that board, and I did too. I think we all put something on that board that just weighed us down. Eventually I worked at that treatment center. I was a house mouse for a while. Basically, you just go around and wake people up and help them get them to group and help them get their decaffeinated coffee. They wouldn't let you have any chemicals in there whatsoever. I remember being a friend to this dog named Chance. I think Chance is one of the creatures that brought me back to reality, because Chance, like, just a dog. But Chance didn't expect anything from you. He just loved you anyway. He was just your friend anyway. But after I'd been using so long and on the streets so long and destroyed all the friendships and family that I had, I didn't know how to make friends. And Chance was my friend anyway. He'd just come over there and kick it. And I remember petting that dog, and it was like something that was pulling me back to humanity. behold the power of a dog. I'm not saying I learned everything that I needed to learn. But I know that I am sick and tired of living on that street so I could be loaded. A lot of these stories are 20 plus years old anyway. I was planning on taking most of this stuff to my grave. But wouldn't that be selfish if there was one person? Just one? If I could find that person and tell them what happened. I was sitting in an AA meeting, forced to go, and I'm across at an 8 o'clock meeting. There's this man, and he died sober. He was a good man. Maybe not everybody thought so, but I think so. His name was Jay. His initials were JB. I'm not really going to say his name. I don't want to pull people into my story if they don't want to be there. But the man died sober. That's more than I ever planned to do. And he said, Kia, I have a prayer for you. And I came around the table and I looked at him. I mean, it's the end of the meeting, I'm just looking at him. It's like, what do you mean you have a prayer for me? It was weird. This man was an agnostic atheist with a very high IQ. He was against the belief in God and everything, and he fought for that for years. But this man believed in a loving Father, Creator, God. At the end of his 20 plus years sober, and this man like, says he has a prayer for me. That's weird. I'm pretty sure the only person on planet Earth I could hear a prayer from is an agnostic atheist that had started loving God. And his story is neat. His story is powerful because I know that man should have died in a puddle of his own piss. Destroyed. Just another statistic. Yet somehow he was sitting across the table, and I can't tell you by what power. And I walk over to him and I'm ready to hear it. I'm like, what is this prayer? What are you saying to me? He said, Kia, go in your room. Lock the door if you have to. And I'm like, okay. And he said, God, if you don't help me, I'm fucked. He said, say it. There's your prayer. And I thought, that was the most blasphemous thing I'd ever heard. But then I looked at my life and realized it was full of blasphemy. All the way through. So I walked home. And I locked the basement door and I shut the windows so no one could see, and I got next to my bed. And I had tried everything to just not live that way anymore. And nothing worked. So I got on my knees and said, God, if you don't help me, I'm fucked. And if you don't take my life in such a way that I can't take it back, I'm gonna take it back right now. I can't stop. If you don't teach me how to pray, I'll never know how. It's really hard to tell you what else I said. I just told him. I just admitted everything that was on my soul. I did it. I stole it, I used it, I lied, I cheated, I tried to kill me. I did all this stuff so I could be loaded over and over and over again. A couple hours later, I couldn't kneel anymore. I was just laying on the cement, pouring my soul out to God, till it had no words, no tears, and no snot left. But something happened on the floor that hadn't happened before. I had got my will to live back. I kind of wanted a burning bush, but I mean, I'm no Moses.